What is up, boneheads? It's your favorite skeleton Death, and I am back with some more Ace Attorney. Hi, Blood. What do you mean, no? I. What? What do you mean, no? What, no? Just no? I have no idea. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Jack Ranger. I have no idea. Okay, but no to what? March 22nd, 9:47 a.m. District Courtroom, Defendant Lobby number 3. Adrian did it. That's what it looks like. No to existence. You can't cancel that out, unfortunately. Or actually, fortunately, you can't cancel that out. I very much like existing. That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer. Dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia. We must get a complete acquittal today. I know. But I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. It's him. This is right. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seems a bit, how do we say, tired. Don't worry. People don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. Ugh. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? Oh, you remember this? Case Ranger? You will figure it out once the trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest. If you please. Wait! The kidnapper sent me a present. Mr. Lawyer Dude, who is that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? Let's see. Package for Mr. Phoenix Wright. What is this? Oh, it's a picture of the judge in a woman's dress. Well, we just won this case. Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Ungard. Are the prosecution and defense ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor. Please be quick, bailiff. Court is now in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. Oh, fuck. What? Shot? somehow. I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present. Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. Phew. You're... I thought he'd show up. Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt Ungard. The court acknowledges the prosecution, right? I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation. My name is Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe? The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Yeah, she'd come in here with blood leaking out of her shoulder and like, the prosecution is ready. Miss Von Karma, you're bleeding. You're about to be bleeding if you don't start this trial! Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir! Now, let's have your testimony. If you want to explore the various facts of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. Hi, Clay. Thank you for the lurk. Appreciate ya. Feel free to get comfy, but you're probably working right now, so I hope you have a good shift. Bare facts of the case. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Cordia, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later find out that the car case had nothing to do with the murder. Okay. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room. Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see, Mr. Wright. You may begin your cross-examination. Gonna open up my water real quick. Alright, let's go. Alright, press on statement 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Press. The cause of death, wasn't that because Mr. Cordia was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, real Poe's attention would be drawn here to This bandana. His bandana, sir. The thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Oh, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. Then, what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here. Ooh. I'm willing to bet that the reason that glass wasn't knocked over is because it was poisoned. Oh, he was strangled with a scarf? Then stabbed with a knife. Okay. Although, the glass still could have been poisoned, so, like, with a muscle relaxer, so he wouldn't struggle. And why do you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The Jammin' Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar, and we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? The fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but the only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory, then. Oh, it's not? Oh, yeah! You're right, actually. Hold on a second. Thank you for that, Clay. Boop. Yeah, I have to readjust from when I was playing Boyfriend Dungeon. There we go. I can't believe I didn't notice that. Appreciate it. Guitar case updated in the court record. Alright. Okay, and now we need to press on the 5th statement. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? Oh, fuck. The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Cordio, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So the guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really has nothing to do with the case after all. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why, then, did the police arrest Matt Ungard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well, Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Why arrest Ungard? Matt Ungard and Juan Cordio were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for the evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's button. It was ripped off the ninja costume and found in Mr. Ungard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. Knife added to the court record. And there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood? Yes, and we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? Jammin' Ninja's button added to the court record. All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, right? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Oh, Edgeworth with the burn! Grr. Okay, present the knife on the 6th statement. Your usual pointless question, says the man who's never won a case against Phoenix. Oh yeah, that's it's the funniest thing for Edgeworth to say to Phoenix. Wait a second. What? On the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder, is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand? That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. It's the hotel they were staying at. That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. Oh man, no wonder I'm about to lose my job. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which doesn't prove anything. Which means this murder was not premeditated. Okay, but, yes, that is very true. This is very big. Well, what is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There's no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realize this. But I did. Oh. The question is, where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Cornea's room. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. There's a knife and fork on the table. Why would he need 2 knives? Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Ungard. Oh, his was missing his knife, especially with what was on top of his table. There's something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife. Ba ba ba! We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Ungard's knife was missing. Ugh. Mr. Ungard has gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven that this was a premeditated murder. Why does it matter if the murder was premeditated or not? It matters that someone was murdered. Whether it was premeditated or just unpremeditated murder, doesn't matter. I don't think that changes anything. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. Oh man, I seriously lean heavily towards the prosecution. Seriously, like one was whipping me and I still sided with her most of the time. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know much about law, but then again, Phoenix Wright doesn't really know much about law either. It seemed like Edgeworth had this planned from the very beginning. Yeah, that feels like he would. This must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it. Yeah, you kind of did, Phoenix. A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There's quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Hint, hint. Evidence not yet shown. He means evidence the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright? Well, Phoenix, the judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If you answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will ring out to the sound of our defeat. Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court? Actually, I do. And I have to be very careful to make sure I select the wine glass. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see. Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I'm giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, Wright, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. Alright, we fuck this up, we're dead. You may now present one, and only one piece of evidence. Now then. The wine glass. Present. This is a wine glass, is it not? Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. There were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well, yes, I see your point. However, the glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. That piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say? Well, yes, it is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth, what is it, Your Honor? Your opinion. You don't need my opinion, because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Andrea Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. That does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright. There's no way. If I appear weak here, the trial's over. I can't look for my proof. I can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. They just might fall for it if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table. You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. I don't know why I'm surprised by this. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You stupid bitch. You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course, it has been thoroughly inspected. For fingerprints! Fingerprints? Oh god, why didn't I think of that? There was only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one? Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one Andrea Andrews. What? That is why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? Grr, I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Cordia. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Now do you see, right? Do you see why I'm always on top? Ha 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 ha! You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. Grr. I'd thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor, and from here on out I will show you the answer I've come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness. Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Yeah, he already won. Why is he... Oh. No. Another witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name... Ugh. Gotcha. Gotcha. Ugh. I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier. Oh, Edgy boy, it's been what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but no one knew that under that helmet was a demon. Begone, spawn of Satan! Yeah, it took him all of 2 seconds to regret his decision. It was the Wicked Witch of the Witness Stand! Oh, that's a good name, actually. That is actually the best name he could give Windbag ever. Like, fucking ever. I love that. I love that so much. Thank you. I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm gonna tell you anything and everything. And I mean everything, Edgy boy. Even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime. Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know. Oh, shush! I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgie right now. Phoenix, like, jumps across the stand. He's like, you fucking stay away from my boyfriend, bitch! Yes, ma'am. No, please, by all means interrupt her, please! Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say, that young are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Yeah, both of them, like, for real PTSD right now at seeing this old lady again. It was a great job being able to see my dear Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that on guard saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so sickly. You know what? You know what I've just realized? She's the hipster grandma of, like, everyone. She, like, anything that's popular, she immediately hates it and instead just really likes this other thing that nobody has any, like, respect for. That everybody's just too much of sheeple to understand and witness it. She's literally hipster grandma who constantly screams at people. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Cordia. But those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, she's also 2-on-2 on having men. She's a fan of getting murdered. Yeah, old bag liking your act is literally the kiss of death. Oh my god. Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Please stop liking me. And then someone just comes into the courtroom with a shotgun and just shoots Edgeworth for no reason. It's like, I don't even know why I did that. I felt God tell me to do that. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. Because I'm a weird stalker, you see. There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was a guard, man on guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So, Mr. On Guard came out from the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I have no actual evidence of this, but fuck that guy. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. What you witnessed. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pay... Okay, so we need to press on the second statement. And... press. Something you were interested in, huh? And just what was that? It's not so little thing I can just go telling everywhere, you know? It's top secret between me and Juan. I wanted to see him naked. That's how. That's not a crime, is it? It absolutely is a crime. Oh, well, shit. I wasn't doing anything then. An Edgy Poo, of course. Mr. Edgeworth? What is that thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to a testimony later. It looks like we shouldn't force it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Alright, press on the fifth statement. Oh, okay, which is the last one, okay. Press. You saw my client, are you sure about that? Yes. Really? Annoying brat, when I say I saw someone, I saw that person! My demon eyes never fail me. Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. So, when given a choice, choose the person's clothes. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are, really, as if something like that matters. But it does. How was it? Oh, yes. It was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing. That racing jacket. Oh, so he was wearing a racing jacket, old bag? Oh, wow. Certainly that's the only one in the world, and, you know, certainly the company that made it, in an insane plot to actually make money, they couldn't have possibly have made more of those. That would just be fucking crazy. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Heh, men. Although I wouldn't mind if one seduced me out of my pantaloons. Right. So, Mr. Wright, what was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? It was very important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that the witness said about the jacket to be amended to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but alright, witness, please. Well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must... He was wearing his flashy racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show. Okay, and now we present the Jammin' Ninja's button. Miss Oldbag? What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? Ah, it's button number 2 on the Jammin' Ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance, and she identified it as button number 2. What the fuck? Give it here, give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this. You mean your little light gun? Wow, she really is a die-hard fan of what a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Enguarde's body during a full-body search. See? That button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Enguarde. It was caught up in the pleats of his Nickel Samurai Hakuma pants. See? And Enguarde is the Nickel Samurai. Witness? Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination. But just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Enguarde, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Ah, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they hear. Oh, God, it's happening again. Make it stop, chat. Make it stop, please. I'm begging you. I can't anymore. I can't. I just can't. Stop. Oh, God. Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Enguarde, the man, but Mr. Enguarde, the Nickel Samurai. But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change, god damn it! You even disagreed with the curtains that I picked out for our apartment. I don't like beige, right? Well, you, I like it, and it matched the couch! No, it didn't. You have terrible color coordination. You have terrible color coordination, and the china you chose is awful. How dare you? That china was my grandmother's. Oh, prosecutor. Defense, stop arguing. Take this back to your love seat. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. Alright, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. Who I saw. Oh, yeah, okay. On guard. Yes, now I remember. Yeah, I totally did just commit perjury now. The Nickel Samurai, that's right. It was the Nickel Samurai I saw. If this lover's quarrel doesn't stop right now, I'm declaring a mistrial. Absolutely. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony show right after the crime, you know. So that must have worn that Nickel Samurai when he was stabbing poor Juan. I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What, did you think there could have been someone else inside? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. Youngins today, I told you, there's no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so, and what I say is the truth. Just like I say that this guy's guilty, and the judge owes me $50. Wait, I don't owe you $50. Getting smart with me, huh? Well, now it's 100. At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago. And that is to say, we wish that she would just leave. Just leave forever. Please, God, I can't anymore. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. And then we'll burn her at the stake like the witch she is. Alright, so press on statement 2. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not long ago you said he was wearing his racing jacket and now he's not? Not too long ago. Now let me ask you this. When you were itty-bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, wanted to be, Judge Wagner, hero of the public's court. So what? See? And look at where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well, what I said earlier. Who puts any weight into things like that? You said it 5 minutes ago. And now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. You said that 5 minutes ago in a court testimony. That matters a lot. Since when did courts become theatrics over testimonies? All that matters is that man was inside that costume. Isn't that enough? Yeah, there we go. Thanks for the achievement. I don't feel like I achieved anything. Alright. Present the knife on Oldbag's 5th statement, which is the last one. Okay, yep, here we go. Present. Yeah, because if he was wearing his costume, his hands would have been gloved. Please take a look at this. Your Honor, for the crime of perjury, my client pleads oopsies. I don't know where that reference was from, but I have heard that before. We award her 1 oopsie and 2 fibby wompers. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. Oh, wait, that's the knife that stabbed Juan? Sell it to me. Sell it to me for $100. The judge owes me, so just get it from him. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at... Wait. Will this get her to leave? And then, like, just everybody goes dead silent and they all look at each other while Phoenix holds the knife. And then the judge looks down, he's like, If we do this, we all take this to the grave. You guys with me? And like just Phoenix, Phoenix and Edgeworth just nod their heads, and so does everybody in the stands. And the screen fades to black, and then she's just gone. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't have to ask, it's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Is that what you're driving at? That's exactly what I'm driving at. What are you driving at? And whose car are we driving? I want to go for ice cream. If Mr. Agard was really in his Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on his knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingers off this knife right off. Oh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There's no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in the costume as the Nickel Samurai. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. But this murder still did take place. It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I have heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Mr. Wright, are you going to give me an answer? You're just sitting there, rubbing your chin. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with his theory? There is a contradiction. The theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Angard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. Okay, and present the knife. This knife, this was used by Mr. Angard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that, which means if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Cordia, I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At the time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from suspicion 1. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints should be all over it like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. The knife was placed by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order! Order, I say! Order in the court! Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? To frame Matt Angard. It's to frame my client, Mr. Angard, of course. To frame? Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? But we just established that the witness saw the Nickel Samurai in costume. And if that were true, there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Ugh! Witness! Looks like I made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy-Po? Ugh. Witness, did you or did you not really see the Nickel Samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. On Guard with the Nickel Samurai, his character on TV? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of the door because, well, I wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai, that's for sure. She wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai. Alright then, who were you waiting around for then? Huh, that's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling that you were just waiting for Mr. Juan Cordia. Am I correct, witness? The way you think, you're a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of? Apparently thinking. So Old Bag was waiting around in front of the victim's room, but it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Cordia. Maybe Phoenix. Maybe the Old Bag was waiting around for that person. Maybe you could just say it instead of saying that person. If it's who I think Mia's hinting at, it's certainly possible. Miss Old Bag, were you waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? Yeah, it was, where's that? Not here. Here. Okay, here we go. Andrea Andrews. Who is this person? This is Andrea Andrews, Mr. Matt On Guard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor. Oh, this is, I see. I can't read, so I'm going to need you both to actually, you know, that seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing. Then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's Andrea Andrews? Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well. Ha! Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then. Witness, what in the world are you... Watch out, Phoenix. I got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I've got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. Her name's Lana Hart. Totally good, reliable information. She hasn't fucked up in this court before. Actually, she fucked up a year ago. Oh. Well, shit. That's $200 gone. But what for? Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here? I move that the court burn the witness at the stake. I really don't want to do this, however, I cannot simply let this point slide. I see. Well then. Very well then, witness, please testify about this secret information. Please continue to commit perjury in our court. Get ready, I'm gonna perjurify this whole case. I'm sure we're all capable of handling this, really. It's not like you're 10 years old. Secret information. That On Guard is one evil, evil man. Also, I teleported my helmet. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such a dirty trick, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay? It's funny how all of Phoenix's close friends are people who he proved guilty of perjury at least once. Yeah, and now some of them twice. The defense sent its manager? What a distasteful topic for this court. Please tell us more. I'm interested in all this gossip because I don't really have a life. What? Nobody's above gossip. And isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant? Never heard that one before. Mr. Edgeworth, what about this Andrea Andrews person? We have looked into this matter, and found that the truth the article proposes is in fact baseless gossip. Also, this is boring and not at all relevant to this case. Why the fuck are we talking about it? But should this be true, then this will prove that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim. So this means I have to smash this rumor once and for all. Now then, Mr. Wright. You may begin your cross-examination. Be careful. The old bag seems rather excited right now. That's right, I guard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth. I hate young people, except for the ones that make my loins heat up. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. Wow, that was a lot of references in one sentence. I apologize to everyone. Okay, press on the fifth statement. Wait. What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over. Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how did you know this secret information? Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drilled a hole into my brain, you'd never find out. The defense would like to move for the option to drill into Miss Windbag's brain. The prosecution seconds that motion. How in the world did that old bag get such a secret piece of information? Present evidence. No one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Oldbag? Or why are you looking at me like that? Stop that! Witness? I had to say this, but this is how you came across this info? Lotta's... Yeah, present Lotta's camera. Okay. The investigative photographer, I say that in quotes because she probably won't be one for very much longer, Lotta Hart. Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl. She also committed perjury in this court. Why have I not seen that as a pattern? She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself. She reported such a thing. On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. For what? Outrageous idea, you say? No, I said impressions. Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless? Oh, wow, she just admitted she stole Lotta's $600 camera. So, that's theft on top of a perjury charge. Cool. No, you see, this is, something completely different. It's my medication list. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy. Then you're the one who took Miss Hart's note and her camera. We're charging you with theft. I'm a huge fan of Wands, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper. She's working with that evil on guard. She said so herself. On guard to all his sidekicks. I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Edgy-poo, you believe me, don't you? I move that we give the witness a life sentence. Ugh. I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only a little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before. You really should have come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine. Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just this once. She looked like she's really sorry. Pile on more pressure. Should I forgive her? No! Fuck her! If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. Witness, you said the only thing you stole was that note. Is that correct? Stole? Did you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible lonely trash can, that's all. You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it. Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again? Yeah, because it's been proven to be shit. Miss Oldbag, I believe that you stole the note. But the only thing is not the only thing you stole that night. Yeah, she also stole Lotta's camera because it was stored in the fucking camera case. Miss Oldbag, that note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it? A camera? Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, my sweetie 1600 camera disappeared on me. Why? Witness! What is it, Gramps? If you have the note, then it's only logical that you have the camera, too. Gah. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Yeah, I stole something. I also stole the judge's car. Ah, that's... What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know. I eat meals like you, and I fall in love and borrow things from people. Like I borrowed the judge's car and then smashed it into a wall. I think your definition of borrow is a little off. Also, did you just say you smashed my car? I saw the woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said, Slimeball Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire. Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures she had taken. Did she have nudes? Did she have nudes of my wand? Yeah, that's a felony theft charge. So, not only has she committed perjury, but she also has a felony theft charge now. So, yeah, her ass is going to jail. Oh, wait, I forgot. This is Phoenix Wright Land. Of course she's not going to be punished. Bailiff, check the camera's photos. Hurry. We must examine these at once. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have? There is only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case. Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai. See, I told you, that's the guy I saw. This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. Lotta's photo added to the court record. What does all this mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Engarde clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume. If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is the defendant. How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of it. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence? If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. But if I raise an objection here and blow it, then it would put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. Something strange with it. There's something strange with this photo. I knew that was coming. Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we can all agree there's nothing strange with this photo. There's no way for the defense to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster. Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright? I'm gonna fucking use a bunker buster on your head. Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct? Well, I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let it... Where in the heck did she take this photo? It's all out of focus. Why can't she take a good shot, especially when it counts? Now then, let's hear your objection. Oh, fuck. Okay, here we go. Present the feet area of the Nickel Samurai. I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here. What are you pointing to? His ankles? If you could see this person's ankles, then that would be one thing. However, you can't. And what does that mean? The costume person in this photo could not have been Mr. Ungard. What is the meaning of this? I wonder if you would care to elaborate with actual facts, that is. Please look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Yeah, in it you can see his feet. There you go, chat. Feet pics. Feet pics saved the day today. Show Feet Guy was leading up all to this. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the Hakama. His socks. You can see his socks. Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his Hakama up just to walk. There's only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Alright, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious, huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack, then I haven't damaged his case at all? Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not man on guard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless. I figured it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt on guard. In that case, who is this a photo of? Who's the person wearing the nickel set? Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah, why is he so calm? Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. Who is the person in this photograph? It's Andrea Andrews, of course. Andrea Andrews? If you want to know who that Nickel Samurai, it's none other than this woman. And why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What is the world points you to her? For starters, she's short, and she can freely move in and out of Mr. Ungard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Ungard last night. And how does that all add up? It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Ungard's fingerprints all over it. Hi, Dory. The knife that was used as a murder weapon. Why don't you just say what it is you want, Bright? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense moves to indict Miss Andrea Andrews in the murder of Juan Cordia. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime. How's your night going, Dory? Order, order, order! It looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth, yes, Your Honor? The court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Andrea Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing your testimony. Alright, this is it. This is kinda bad for us, huh? What do you mean? If Andrea Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, that means the trial will go on for another day. One more day. Ugh! If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya! Now then, we shall set Miss Andrea Andrews' testimony for tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn court. Raise an objection. No. Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today. I cannot do that. We must hear... I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial. But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development. Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor. And what do you mean by that? That Mr. Phoenix Wright said would slave his way to subpoena Mr. Andrea Andrews is all happening according to plan, even if Mr. Wright was a bit slow to catch on. What? What? What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrea Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by this man. Somehow, I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook this. Looks like his battle is far from over. Exactly. Very well, we will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess. Yeah, okay, we'll save. Jeez. What is Edgeworth planning? Something's real weird about all this. March 22nd, 2:14 p.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Dude, I can't believe that Andrea... No way! Not cool and collected Andrea Andrews! She is your manager. She would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. So she could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your Hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Then, dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She's the one who murdered Juan Cordia. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She had her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time the trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of the day. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix, you think her motive is related to Cecile Impact's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impacts as her strength and reason to live. But when Miss Impacts suddenly killed herself, It sounded like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Cordia, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Cordia, all to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But something is bothering me. What? Who was it that first told us about the relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issue with regards to Miss Impact's. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. March 22nd, 2:25 p.m. District Court, Courtroom Number 3. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Andrea Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Cordia's room. What is your occupation? I'm the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ungard. I see. Now then. Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland. I don't read it every time, every issue. I don't have minted, laminated ones either. Definitely. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relationship with the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Cordia. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan, but this was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter. Or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. I think we understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well, witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room, and there was this dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Alright, yes, sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of the crime, and I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And this is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix. She's one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. So you have to attack where she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant this trial's over. Understood? Okay, press on the third statement. So 1, 2, 3. You were in shock. Fuck. What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Cordia. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with her being shocked or not. I see. Alright, press on the fifth statement. Juice. Yes. There was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks left on the wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Cordia, you were in great shock, and then you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank. I don't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. Press further, yep. Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that when you said you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I went to set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards. It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell into the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, the people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess. It seems like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. Okay, so present... Bam! There's the contradiction. Present. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes? And are you sure it fell into the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell into the guitar case. However, if that's true, the case shouldn't have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. Yeah, that feels pretty obvious. This is very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. And what is that? Let's take another look at this crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shards should be inside, not outside the case. What is your point, right? That someone opened the guitar case after she knocked over the vase, which means she must have opened it for some reason. That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over. Is that all? No. Think back to what Miss Andrews testified. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She didn't implicify that she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It had no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty card case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? Seems that there's no deeper meaning to the... Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we... Yes, make her testify. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. Huh. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. Ms. Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal, though, right? The case was empty, after all. As for why I opened it, even I don't know. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using anyway to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. Edgeworth? My god. Okay, present the guitar case on the second, third, or fourth statement. Present. There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case were those of the victim. What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? If I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time... Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves? I was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright? That's strange, because, you left fingerprints on the wine glass. Yeah, the wine glass. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it's just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Ugh. Order, order, order! Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. Okay. So we're getting somewhere. Yeah, I wonder if that's a common occurrence with her. Like, she just gets so stressed out, her glasses just literally explode, and then she just has a bunch of spare pairs in her pocket. She's like, damn it, happened again. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar, was at the studio. It's where the Juan hid the suicide note, isn't it? Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar. Wait, that's not right either. God damn it, Phoenix. Have a brain. I admit it would be unusual for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it's wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case was some relation to the murder. If you're so sure, right, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please enlighten us as to why this guitar case has anything to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Can you do everyone's job for them all at once? The detectives, the prosecution, and yours, and mine. Do my job. Here's my gavel, you fucking idiot. Let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing. You mean it could... I fucking swear to God. So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty. Is that it, right? Do you intend to push this theory that the case was not empty? Is that, like, secretly Edgeworth and Phoenix have been working together all along? Like, from the very first game? Oh, shit. And then Phoenix rolls up his sleeve and he, like, looks down at his arm with lines are written on it. I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? Lotta's... Okay, we need to present Lotta's photo. Okay. This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. Why are you talking like a robot? Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to question that. Weird shit happens in this court all the time. I'm just going to stop. It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is, inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Wright, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to do something, I don't know, to dress up in the costume so people would see the Nickel Samurai coming out of the murder victim's room? The insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone... Sorry, I was reading the guide for a second. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. Quite literally, she's almost destitute. Anyways, she's terrible at her job, so she was hoping that she'd get a good photo. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order! Order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. That is everyone's strategy. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait a second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai costume could have been Mr. Matt Engarde's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places? True. This is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. It was a spare costume. Mr. Engarde did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, that costume we are talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Cordia, was the Gemin Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind this peculiar act? And there lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Or you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Oh, you know what? It was Juan who planned out the conference, because Engarde didn't know anything about it. So I'm willing to bet Juan stole the costume and was planning to prank Engarde. Yep, press conference. What is this? On the night of the murder after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up right. But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Engarde himself said no, he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was a setup. By none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Cordia himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for this very conference. Mr. Cordia was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference, but why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at the conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something, and by confess, I wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that one Cordia posed as the Nickel Samurai was going to speak about Matt Engarde. Yes, I guess that's what it would mean. But if that's the case, That's not a confession. That's public discourse. Miss Andrews? I can see why you're pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Wand. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year, and if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought, anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? Oh, now Matt has a motive. And do you know of this secret, Miss Unguards? Is, Mr. Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Oh, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. But that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. Unguard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. I'll stop committing perjury now and actually tell the truth. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I have a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect... Oh, bullshit! That does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright. This just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Okay, press on the first statement. Press. Would you say that that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should already know that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. What's evidence again? I totally forgot. Oh god, did I even pass the bar exam? What the fuck's going on? Who am I? Okay, press on the 4th statement, so this is 2... Okay, here we go. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought, and during the fight, the killer ripped the button off from the Jammin' Ninja costume. You're talking about this button, correct? The button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama, isn't that right? I would think that it would make it very decisive evidence. Ugh. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Maya can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. Okay, present the autopsy report. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stabbed to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the victim was stabbed with the knife. Exactly. Which means it's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. The button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. What is the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does that mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? What was it? To pin the crime on guard. There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Enguarde. There's no way anyone would put a blood-stained button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Enguarde was set up by the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is, well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally, I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. Enguarde was... yeah, Andrea Andrews, again. Like we've been saying a bajillion fucking times, it was Andrea. I choose you. You are Mr. Cordia's killer. Now, use Firebolt! What? Order, order, order! Mr. Wright, it's not your turn to attack. This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Enguarde, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then, what about the button they found in Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only person who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Enguarde was the real killer, there's no way he would put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. Ah! The only person who could have put this button into Mr. Enguarde's Hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? There's also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. The costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the scene of the crime. Now, who could have known there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? It only could have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And the person is you, Miss Andrea Andrews! No, Yeah, and that... Like, she's trying to make herself look innocent, I think, but she's really not. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. Ah! And to top it all off, there's one photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. He would be too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop! Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews. I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify in something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? That's... Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On Guard's room. Andrea Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Think hard about... Understood? Alright. That's it. That's why Franziska planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done. What's wrong, right? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Everything in every Phoenix Wright case that you use to try and prove the defendant guilty has been circumstantial, Edgeworth. You shut up. Yes, circumstantial. You've yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Cordia. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill... I believe this may lead to incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove it either way. Yeah, that is true, Jack. There is, like, most evidence is circumstantial, but it doesn't mean it's unreliable. You just have to sort of connect the dots and find where it all lines up. Besides, You don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Andrea Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid, definitive proof. But that's not true! In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess. Recess? A request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? No. We don't have a tomorrow! If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If you don't get that verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of something that was... a conversation were something unrelated to whether she may be guilty of, then she would have no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but actually, there is one thing I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Unusual when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should be sufficient enough proof. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request, and will only ever acknowledge the prosecution's request because we refuse to listen to the defense ever. Miss Andrews, if you please. A glass of juice? I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it was in that messy state, and Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired-looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he had died didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? We look inside Edgeworth's head, and there's like an entire Looney Tunes cartoon playing. Alright, present the crime scene photo on statements 4, 5, or 6. Okay. Crime photo, the Nickel Samurai, hotel guide map. Crime photo, here we go. So, you honestly don't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking out of Mr. Cordia's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that there was a dead man. Well, you see... I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted. And then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. Ah! And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer. No! It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Engarde, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you're the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so that you might end up incriminating yourself? That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt Engarde's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. Now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down the verdict for Mr. Matt Engarde. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. The witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth. What are you... Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt Engarde will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, that it would be all over and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Yeah, she scares a lot of people. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then... Yeah, witness tampering isn't a crime at all, I'm sure. Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Engarde will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in these words right now and is clinging on to them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever came across something like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get our not guilty. That is my top priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please, somebody help me. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. The court cannot continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and not what she did not do. Think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real... Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except this woman crying over here, right? Come now. What will you do? What kind of man are you, Phoenix Wright? I have to win a complete acquittal, Tay. There's no way around that, but... I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews? I would like to know what you're really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing? I'm sure Mr. Argard would get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. And this? Is this what you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this, however. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop. Mr. Edgeworth. This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop! Please stop! No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Andrea Andrews, the secret of her dependent nature. Having one person know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. I don't think so, Clay. Please stop. I'm begging you. If people find out, She just has, like, dependency issues, really. She is intensely dependent upon others, and she needs to cling to someone, and if she doesn't, she feels like she'll basically fall through a hole in the world. After her mentor committed suicide, she attempted to do the same because she lost all reason to live. So, yeah. What Edgeworth is saying is he's going to reveal that to the court unless she says it herself. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk. Please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. My crime. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted. Honest. When I realized he was dead, that's when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience, and that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. Oh. Guys, I think I just figured it out. I'm not gonna say, but I think I just did. But why would you do that? Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person, a certain cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but this is the truth. The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time. So Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Cordia, in the chest with the knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt Engarde for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get it over your shot and commence the cross-examination. Okay, so yeah, we need to press every statement. But you could tell from the state of the room he's in there must have been a fight. Are you telling me the truth when you say you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. But the scarf is part of his Jammin' Ninja costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and just went to pour the juice. When I realized he was dead, that's when I formulated my plan. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. I made sure no one was in the hallway and I dashed back to Matt's room. That was so you could get the knife correct. The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, the police would certainly turn their eye towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at that time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. So you were the one to stab the victim with the knife. It gave me some goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at that time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. Engarde's Hakama. Yes, that's what I had planned to do, but things never go that smoothly, do they? I had a bit of an inconvenience. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I had already been caught and made it into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You know what? If after this case Global Studios doesn't get shut down forever, I will truly think that place has the power of fucking Disney World. You did this to prepare for the press conference, correct? Yes. Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is that secret? That I don't know. Although I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. Absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Engarde's room and planted the button. Into Matt's Hakama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word, what does all this mean? Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Engarde. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should under no circumstances confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. Wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it's not possible to indict Mr. Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Mr. Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. Oh, God. Oh, wait, but Maya escaped earlier, so it doesn't really matter. Today's trial, it's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave court today, I wonder if I might look at one thing. A card in your hand. It has piqued my interest some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although, I don't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now I found this in my room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. I found that card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there, right next to him. I found that card next to the victim's body. I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to... It has a lot of fucking relevance, actually. Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card, if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why... Witness, that card. Give it to me, hurry. Edgeworth? Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? This... I cannot believe you hid this from me all this time. I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it, and what does it mean? Whew. Okay, we are going to save there. That was a long-ass trial. Okay, I have been going for almost 2.5 hours, and I gotta say, like, okay, so I'm gonna hold my guess in until we get closer to the end. But I think I might be onto something, and it's a twist most of you, well, except for Jack, probably won't see coming. All right, so we're gonna look for who we're gonna raid next. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's go raid Grim. We haven't raided Grim in a while. As always, thank you to everybody who came in, who lurked, who followed, who said hello, who used me as background noise. I appreciate all of you. Not going to come up with another raid message this time. We're just going to use our basic raid message. So go ahead and copy that and paste it into Grim's chat. She's a wonderful little goblin VTuber, and she also made my PNG. Little Skelleboy you see there. As always, thank you, everybody who came in, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care, Boneheads.